What does true wealth really mean? Is it the balance in your bank account, the opulence of the possessions you own, or the prestige of social status? These questions have troubled humanity for millennia. However, no philosophical tradition offers a more profound and practical perspective than Stoicism, a philosophy founded in Athens around 300 BCE. Stoicism provides a distinct view of wealth, challenging the superficial values of modern consumerism and the imbalanced social competition. Stoics do not measure wealth by external possessions or signs of success. They find true wealth in the internal state of the soul, a sense of self-sufficiency, moderated desires, and deep spiritual freedom. In a world where happiness is often shaped by material attainment, Stoicism opens a different path. It challenges us to look beyond the traps of outward wealth and invites us to consider what truly enriches life. By valuing inner resources, we can achieve lasting prosperity and serenity, unaffected by society's shallow standards. Epictetus, a former slave who became a Stoic master, conveyed a profound philosophy with the saying, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This teaching reflects his view and outlines Stoic conceptions of wealth, not in accumulating more wealth, but in reducing unnecessary desires. Seneca, another luminary in Stoic philosophy, emphasized, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." These words indicate that poverty lies not in material deprivation, but in unending greed and perpetual dissatisfaction. We are caught in a cycle of desire and never achieving contentment, constantly pursuing grander things while overlooking satisfaction with what we have. Stoicism invites us to recognize that true wealth lies in contentment with less and mastering our desires, not in accumulating more. Stoics not only critique the pursuit of material wealth, but also outline an intellectually rich alternative. They emphasize that prosperity lies not in amassing possessions, but in self-mastery and the development of virtue. As Seneca asserted, "The greatest power is the power over oneself." This is a powerful reminder to redefine the concept of wealth. Stoicism encourages us to seek fulfillment not in external possessions, but in inner cultivation and self-control. It invites us to shift our focus from endless desires to building a life of virtue, where true prosperity is defined by inner peace and self-mastery. Stoics teach that true wealth is not found in external possessions, but in finding contentment in the present moment, cultivating wisdom and courage, and living in harmony with our deepest values. In this video, we will delve into the Stoic philosophy of wealth, exploring how personal wealth is shaped not by societal expectations, but by self-awareness and self-realization. We will discuss the art of recognizing sufficiency and how this practice can liberate us from endless desires and constraints. Additionally, we will explore voluntary poverty as a powerful method to nurture gratitude and inner strength. Finally, we will examine how to build true, sustainable wealth by developing inner resources and living a life of purpose and integrity. The wisdom of Stoicism reveals a path to genuine prosperity and a deeply meaningful life. From the Stoic perspective, true wealth is not the accumulation of material goods, but the ability to live in harmony with our core values, achieve inner peace, and embrace the richness of human experience. The most prosperous life is one where we remain true to ourselves, serene with what we have, and explore the abundance of life through the lens of wisdom and self-control. 1. The Stoic perspective on wealth. In the journey of life, many are enchanted by the glitter of wealth and power, believing that these will bring happiness and fulfillment. However, for a Stoic philosopher, Wealth is not a measure of human value, but a tool, a means to practice virtue and self-improvement. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, wealth is what we have, but it does not define who we are. Stoics do not despise wealth, but they understand that it is a challenge, a potential source of distraction, if not managed wisely. When properly managed, wealth can be a powerful resource to help others, promote justice, and practice compassion. However, if it becomes the ultimate goal, it will lead individuals into a never-ending spiral of greed, anxiety, and fear. Consider the life of Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers who once possessed immense wealth. Despite his riches, Seneca was not controlled by them. He wrote, "Wealth without virtue is merely poverty in another form." Indeed, Seneca used his wealth to aid the poor and practice his philosophy in daily life. He did not allow his possessions to dominate him. Rather, he used them to do good, maintaining balance and control in his life. In solitude, Stoics reflect on the true meaning of wealth. They understand that ultimately the greatest wealth is inner peace, freedom from anxiety and fear. Marcus Aurelius, in his moments of quiet contemplation, wrote, "The richest man is the one who is content with what he has, not the one who has the most possessions." For the Stoic, true wealth is not material, but the tranquility of the soul, the ability to live in accordance with one's principles and ideals. Stoics view wealth not as the final goal, but as a challenge to live according to morality and virtue. They recognize that true wealth is not what can be held in hand, but the spiritual values and inner peace. This is the eternal treasure that no one can take away. 2. Definition of personal wealth. In the quest for wealth, people often chase material riches, external assets they consider symbols of success. Yet in solitude, when only oneself remains, one has the chance to see the true value of wealth. According to Stoic thought, as Marcus Aurelius conveyed, personal wealth is not the amount of money we accumulate, but inner peace, self-understanding, and self-mastery. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "True wealth is not having more, but needing less." These words remind us that wealth is not measured by what we can count, but by the contentment of the soul when we are not dependent on fleeting things. Solitude helps us realize that true freedom and wealth come when the soul is no longer tied to material possessions. Consider the life of Diogenes, a Stoic philosopher who embodied the essence of personal wealth. He lived in solitude, renouncing all possessions in search of inner peace. Diogenes owned nothing but a barrel to live in, yet he possessed a freedom and tranquility that few achieve. He demonstrated that true wealth lies not in owning more, but in living simply, unbound by material desires. Personal wealth also encompasses self-control, mastery over one's emotions and actions. When we are not swept up by external desires, we can focus on inner development and becoming the person we aspire to be. In solitude, we have the opportunity to reflect on ourselves, contemplate what truly matters, and steer our lives toward betterment. When understood and embraced, solitude becomes the place to build true personal wealth. It is freedom, serenity, and the ability to live in accordance with one's values. As Marcus Aurelius taught, seek wealth not in what you can possess, but in self-mastery and inner peace. Only then can you truly claim to be wealthy, not just materially, but spiritually. 3. Knowing when enough is enough. In a world that incessantly demands more, recognizing that knowing when enough is a powerful form of wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, with the insight of a Stoic philosopher, understood that happiness does not come from continually craving more, but from recognizing and appreciating what we already have. He wrote, "Do not wish for what you do not have. Be content with what you have. And remember that what you have today was once something you longed for." The ability to know enough is the art of living simply, yet it is profoundly difficult in a society that constantly encourages competition and endless consumption. People are caught in a never-ending cycle of ambition and desire, but this only creates an emptiness that can never be filled. Solitude, when wisely embraced, becomes a space to pause and recognize the value of the small things, those that are already sufficient to nurture inner contentment. Marcus Aurelius also encourages us to learn to be satisfied with what we have. He advises, "The key to living a fulfilling life is to be grateful and content with the present." This does not mean giving up ambition or ceasing to strive, but understanding that seeking inner fulfillment is the foundation of true tranquility and happiness. When we spend time alone, we have the opportunity to practice knowing when enough is enough. Solitude provides us with the space to pause, reflect on our lives, and realize that perhaps we already have enough. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Simplicity and contentment with the present are at the core of a virtuous and peaceful life." In a world full of distractions, knowing when enough is enough helps maintain inner peace. It is a way to escape societal pressures, meaningless comparisons, and return to the true nature of happiness. A happiness not dependent on what we own, but on how we perceive and value what we have. When you feel the urge for more, pause and ask yourself, have I reached enough? The answer may surprise you, revealing that, in reality, you already have everything necessary to live a happy and fulfilling life. 4. Practicing poverty. In our modern lives filled with comfort and convenience, we often lose sight of the value of simplicity and minimalism. Marcus Aurelius, a seeker of inner perfection, understood the power of practicing poverty. In solitude, he learned to relinquish material desires to find true freedom, a freedom unbound by superficial and unnecessary things. Practicing poverty is not merely about renouncing material wealth, but about voluntarily facing situations of scarcity to strengthen willpower and spirit. When we choose to live simply, we become less dependent on external circumstances and learn to control ourselves. This not only helps us better understand what is truly necessary in life, but also enhances our inner strength, making us less susceptible to unexpected changes. In solitude, when no one is watching, we can practice poverty most sincerely. For example, you might try living for a week without shopping, eating only basic foods, and giving up everyday comforts. Through this process, you'll discover that many things you once considered essential are actually mere additions, and simplicity brings true tranquility and focus. This practice helps us reassess our relationship with material possessions and teaches us how to face scarcity without anxiety or fear. By voluntarily accepting poverty, we create a mental shield that prevents us from being swayed by the vicissitudes of fate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "True wealth is freedom from wealth." By practicing poverty, we not only renounce material possessions, but also the fears and desires associated with them. We become stronger, more independent, and freer. This is the path to complete self-mastery, a state that nothing can disrupt. Practicing poverty is an act of freedom, a freedom that can only be achieved by discarding the unnecessary and living a simple yet meaningful life. 5. Nurturing inner wealth. Dig deep into the nature of yourself. There you will find the root of true strength and wealth. Marcus Aurelius. Inner wealth consists of the spiritual qualities we cultivate in solitude, away from external distractions. It includes patience, wisdom, and a belief in our own worth. When we question what makes life meaningful, the answer is often not money or power, but the inner qualities that help us face difficulties and stand firm in the face of challenges. Imagine a person alone in a barren desert, with nothing but themselves and their thoughts. In that absolute solitude, the person realizes that what truly sustains them is not material possessions, but their ability to self-regulate, remain steadfast, and maintain calmness. Like a tree that remains green amidst desolation, inner wealth nurtures and protects us during our most difficult moments. Marcus Aurelius lived in the luxury of the palace, but understood better than anyone that true wealth does not lie in external things. In his Meditations, he wrote, "External things are mere shadows of something greater within. We may lose everything we have, but no one can take away the self-respect, serenity, and wisdom we have cultivated within ourselves." Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychologist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, found life's meaning not in material conditions, but in the ability to adjust one's mindset and soul. He wrote, "When we have nothing left but the ultimate freedom of choosing our attitude in any given set of circumstances, we discover our true inner strength." Nurturing inner wealth requires patience, solitude, and self-reflection. In stillness, when we are no longer swayed by external temptations, we can focus on building and reinforcing spiritual values, inner qualities that endure despite changes in the world around us. As Marcus Aurelius advised, return to yourself and discover the treasures that never fade, the wealth of the soul.